I feel like to share a little bit of story of my life, to try to just share something I think can be meaningful to some of us in learning, I guess, more than life lessons, but how God train us and discipline us in ways that we might not aware when we go through things in life. Now, back in China, that is years before I know the Lord. I came to know the Lord after I got here and lost everything and pretty disappointed, despondent in life. And that's when I met the Lord. But prior to that, I have some interesting life experiences, one of which I almost totally forgot. Just today I was praying and the Lord brought back to me and wanted me to share. I guess it may be not like a testimony, but I see it actually more than a testimony because God teaches us in ways, in times we don't even know Him, we don't acknowledge Him. This is one of those times I'm amazed by how He taught me and changed the way how I perceive and direct my life. So anyway, let me build a little bit of context to then talk about this particular story. Well, I was back in high school and college years. I was a pretty lofty guy, so my major in university is on theoretic economics, basically study economic theories, and I was fully intended to continue my education in financial and in basic economic management, of a nation, those kind of stuff. So, of which many of my classmates later on become such figures in different levels of a Chinese government or agencies. But I was associated with those kind of people, and in my own background, my brother usually, who was also attending to higher level. Sorry, it's a best university in China, so he was able to involve with some high level intellectuals who the ones actually decide the economic direction and policy those time. They are the major leaders for how to reform Chinese economic, from central controlled way of doing government policy to marketing and even doing shareholding, those kind of changes. But anyway, I don't want to get into nitty gritty of it, but that's the process and the environment I was grown up with, caught into. So therefore, there's a lot of pride and loftiness in my way of approaching things. My interest and hobby those time also more like history, like literature, poems, and philosophy. All kinds of lofty thinkings. I'm very intellectual, and I was a favorite of the professors and most students, which is very intellectual people. So in the academic world, seems everybody wanted me to be part and support and deem me as a rising star in that kind of a career or progress of life. So I don't want to mention details again, for the many very unique opportunities to go there. So with that, built in me is this huge pride, huge illusion about the future of my life and how I conduct myself and how I relate to others and perceive and practice things in life. That being said, so so God evidently want to chisel that off. Again, that's before I know the Lord. So he didn't allow me to continue my education, and which was a great disappointment for after graduation for a couple of years. My intention was to fully go back to education. So all those years I still in communication and in a way try to get it back to the those kind of career choices. But anyway, after graduation, I was still fortunate, appointed to a great company, one of the major shipping companies in the world, which is the biggest one, a state-owned, state-operated shipping company, and one of the branch in the Minzer Harbor in China, which I remember they have 20,000 employees, stuff like that. This locally, and there are a lot of things that was going on. You can imagine a lot of things that is totally unfamiliar to me in the iron tower of a university and this academic vision of life. So that being said, and the company, they usually every year they have hundreds of students will come in and as new blood. And the year that I was recruited by them, they did not have that big number. Actually, the reason was the '89 student movement back in China, the protesting. So anyway, that being said, so I was only one of the, I think only 20-some people, young people, and I was one of the, graduated from the best university in their midst. Most this college, not a university. There's a difference. They have a 2-year education, for example. I would have 4 years, as they did not study high topics. Anyway. So I basically enjoy a better standing in my academic credential among them. But the company have a policy, so they want the students to go to the front line, different departments, local companies, or subsidiaries to, to just have experience with what the company look like. And because I have no background, most students that recruited actually have the parents or relative working in the company. I was an outsider totally. So they assigned me to this one of the most toughest, and you would see the remotest subsidiary they have, which is a repair company, shipping repair company. It was pretty difficult. First year, can't even afford food or clothes, and I grew up with a poor background. But beyond that, the workers commonly are criminals or former, what the word you call the, in English, I don't know the word, basically they released from jails, some even are murderers, so just a bunch of rough folks. So I'm this young lad, have no social experience, no life experience, and put in their midst, and fortunately I did not work on, what they do. They do is cleaning ships, doing all kinds of hard work. I was an office boy, and not have much to do actually. They don't trust me. I don't have a lot of skill set at that time. I didn't learn anything solid by that time. So it was useless, They allow me and to hang around, but I can't really help. So one year, some strange incident happened, which I shared with you folks here. We took all over the repair of at that time the biggest container shipping vessel. It's called container vessel, whatever the word call it. Container ship, I guess, the biggest one in the world. So in that time to build the biggest one. So we took over the contract, so we intended to, work on it, were good. Unfortunately, during the repair time, an accident happened. The captain, which is a were unfortunate accident. The captain himself violated the protocols for protection or security measures, and they will try to run the engine. I don't really know. I never see the site, so only a few years later I toured on the ship. It was not that time because this incident. So when the captain tried to get close to the engine, the blade caught him and cut his head off. So it was terrible. The first is the captain was, high assets of those kind of company. You have a few captains like, I met one of the pilot, best air pilot in Northwest, so I understand the privilege you enjoy and the prestige, the hope, higher hope, put in those kind of, professionals. And anyway, in this one, he was killed. And to the hurt is that he actually was pictured or intended by the high level of management to be the coming manager for the whole company. So this is his last round basically. So then he's going to be elevated to the management for the whole company, which is locally there. So you can imagine the terrible ramification after this took place. It was just a little shipping company, which is, the Binger ownership don't even belong to the company. It was held by some company from Hong Kong. So anyway, and there, after that happened, our company's management, everything caught in the shock. I mean, the only thing they really not supposed to blame, because this guy just, broke the security protocol, and a little bit proudful. He against all the advices, our advice and security measures, he did what he wanted to do. So he wanted to get close to the engine, and then this happened. It's a great tragic thing, and I'm sorry, great tragedy. Anyway, my English may be broken, but I want to get to the essence of it, so build a little bit of context. So after that, so our company as man decided the only remedy we have, so is to work hard and get this ship fixed as soon as possible. So get our harbor and get it back to the next, management or whatever need to be to going. So, and because they already suspect we did not do a good job to keep the management, to keep this guy safe. So, and then, with that, we basically has to learn nothing. It was, I think it turned out to be volunteer. That detail I'm not quite sure. So anyway, if that is the case, I could understand later on what I witnessed. Basically, the workers, those rough characters. I mean, they were rough, but this is terrible. So they worked day and night. I remember for days after days, they did not sleep. They don't eat even sometimes. And just continue rotating, one another working on the ship, try to get it fixed as soon as possible and get into operation. So then I was there. I mean, everybody was tense. Everybody was just on tiptoes. Nobody wanted to even talk one another because the intensity of the situation. And that was caught the first hand in the reality of life. It's not easy talk. This is what happened to me. It's more than the tragedy or the intense environment it is. It's my own background of looking at life, there's no transit in my life. I only see one death and then time. I seldom see people, facing crises or tragedies, or this under great pressure for life to work or whatever. My life was pretty much useful and even fanciful in my own understanding. And now, then included, you grew up in China, a lot of hardship, especially in my background. And I experienced a lot. I mean, by then time, experienced a lot, but not this kind of stuff. So it was very hard. Then the people was very rough. They work hard, so they get pretty angry, especially the workers on the front. And I was just, before that I was a paper boy. Fetching the paper basically had nothing to do. And this time just totally feel useless and puzzled how to help. Fortunately, the people seems has a good attitude towards me. They didn't nobody, you know, burst on me or treated me harshly. They always appreciated my help. At the same time, when they would fight. For example, the front worker will argue with the management, loud, and they will involved fight. So I see blood stuff like that happen. So literally fighting each other physically. So then turn around and talk to me. It's very difficult maybe because I was in the office, supposed to interact with the management, and the front guys used to hang around as well. So play chase, play car with them. So here's between how you handle this situation, very difficult. And there was a great animosity between the workers on the deck, and they had their own quarters, and the place where I stay, which is a quarter for the office guy, and which is another shape basically. And so I have nothing to do, so I would just move around, try to see how I help, and then try to see how to station myself or accommodate myself. That's every day, go there all day long, do nothing. That is not good either. It was last for 7 or 8 days. So in the meantime, a lot of things happened. I remember talk to the management, ask them how I best help. Should I keep outside? Those things I just ask them. All the intensity, field manager were kind to me. They will tell me, don't worry, put that the burden on myself. Just enjoy myself. So just don't get much involved. So normally I would go to there was a long beach, and there was like here, there's something built into like a long thing that basically there are rocks, holding the waves, so they have a harbor there. So there are a lot of rocks there. I would go there to hunt the crabs actually. So then eat some crab and come back. Basically try to get away from this intense situation as far as possible. Still, I have to see how I can help. So I would be buy wine, buy food for them. But that's only what small task. Then afforded me the opportunity to interact with everybody, however. So I also go to the quarter of the workers. They will be there cursing, some even fighting each other, and it was not good environment. With the were rough drinking, some just were rough environment. I will be there, try to do as much I can and not listen to the intrigue of their whatever they have, but try to see how I can help. So I remember everybody were kind to me. They were rough characters, but everybody were respectful and kind to me. They will tell me, think for me to help, and also tell their complaints to me. So and sometimes even ask me to bring their complaint to the management. And I don't know how to handle those things, but still, they know my heart, so they treated me very respectful and kind. And on the management, I will go to the managers, try to help as much possible. Interesting enough, they show me great, um, I don't know, great respect. So I remember a couple of the major managers who was in charge of the whole team would spend an hour's time to talk to me how to handle myself in such situations, while themselves almost losing the grip. So they were the ones beat up. Some people did beat them, cursed them. Every day was boiling over. I never see things like that before. It's like a riot, almost broke out. And anyway, I was caught into between this and meandering whatever the different character, different situations, and I was shocked. At the same time, I want to help. At the same time, it's totally feel useless and is shocked. I have again never encountered such animosity, such a stress, such you know whatever. It's like facing a war. So and after all that, I don't know what I did. I did not notice what I did. Everybody was intense to get the job done. Everybody was emotional. All was intense. But after a while, things wrapped up. We did a good job. The ship get it fixed, get delivered, and we paid a bonus. Everybody happy. We threw some face as the management to the workers. Everybody wrap up. I think beginning to settle down. Died out. I think at this point, I remember uh, we offered to. The truth was, the fact was that we offered to not to fix the ship without cost, but actually the owner of the ship, I believe, is the company, the big company that I'm working with later on, actually paid the full bill. So it was give us a good job, a good income for the companies. It was a big job. And so anyway, we did it very good in short time, which 1 month job turns in 1 week almost, something of nature. So you have a bigger income. Everybody actually turned out to be very happy. So a little bit in that regard, regardless of the tragedy happened. But it was a huge shaking to the management and to every worker, especially the management. There was a headquarters in the harbor. There was a on-site management office, which is the ship I staying with. Then there's other quarters or ships, which is decking ships for the common worker. I was traveling between three, but normally I don't go to the headquarters, which is in the harbor office. But so happened with the certain situation I don't quite recall. But one day I was especially noticed to go to the office. Some management, which is the one sitting on the thing, wanted to be there. He was from the headquarters in charge of the whole deal. He was seeing me hung around basically the first time I met him. So and when everything died down, and one day they noticed me, and I don't quite remember. They sent a car to pick me up to go to their office, basically. And so I don't know what's going on, really. I thought it's something to do with my media management with the big company. Maybe I changing business companies, because this is one of the company temporary stay, basically. No, it turned out to be, it was him. So he dismissed all his schedule, and he sitting me down, after everything, and tell me about his intent, and which is a similar situation happened to me many times, but this guy I just barely met, so it was a surprise to me, and I just newly into real work life, real experience of life in a sense. So before that, it was other kind of character in my life, professor stuff like that. But it was unique, nobody knows except right now I disclose it. So and he sat me down and said he has been observing me, how to carry myself in the midst of which I feel terrible, totally out of my place, I'm just a fish out of water in a sense in the whole ordeal. And he said, I've been observing, I see your heart and see you carry yourself. And I'm very thankful. Thank you for the help, which I did nothing. I have to say that is the truth. I did nothing. I just, helped to buy certain food, try to help, little things basically. Nothing major. I don't know anything. I cannot do anything. No skills. And however, he was learn my background a little bit, and he said to me, hey, I want to share a thing pride with you. This is what I want you to consider. So he gave me a career choice basically. He said he is the manager for our then company as we're going to go. The board decided to dismiss him and appoint him as manager for the whole business. So he has been in the process, trying to find someone who can be his assistant. I've seen the role called the secretary, so he didn't want me to become his secretary. I don't know whatever that entails. I have no idea what it means to be a manager. I have no idea whatever the management set up. But everything being said, I also know I have no right and no say in my future. So I heard all this and puzzled, thinking at the same time, just tell him frankly, I said, I don't really know, how to make this decision. I don't make decision anyway. I was just, the upper management, the human resource in charge of my future. I don't know what to do. So said, oh, that's not a problem. So, basically he said, if you intend and you agree with this, I can talk to them and have you assigned to me. So would you like to do that? I said, not really. So it was a small business, and to be a secretary is not something I like to do. But I don't know. I don't have a choice in my career. But I said, don't worry about it. So you can go any time you want to go, but this is what I want you to enjoy. See you carry yourself. I really like it. I don't know what those entails. Literally right now, those experiences were blurry to me. Many things happened in my life, totally blurry. Now, why I mention this thing to the in this, the Lord is having me to recollect myself in a bit. My point was, in all things, I was unskilled, inexperienced, totally fell out of water, and useless in the situation I got. And somehow, God sent this manager seems to have a different eye, or look at things, or look at myself in a way that I don't know. And then time after that, it went basically I just literally in despair and trouble. I don't know what my future hold. And then this thing happened to me. As much as later on didn't play out, we become friends actually. He always come to me. Later on I have different careers. We become friends. So not that close friend, but we always have good relationship. And so the things that I feel led to share is the way how God encourages us, in how He disciplines us. Again, let me emphasize a few points. At the time, my life was in great unknown. I'm from an academic region of life to this real life, caught in between, have no see in my life, no future, no certain future, And then after that shocking, impactful event happened, totally just lost grip. What's going on with life? And here he sent this guy. I mean, yes, the situation is a little weird, but God used incidents and this person to give me a sense of confidence, peace. I know that I'm doing the right thing, in a sense, carry myself. I'm not that miserable, not that useless. What I'm doing is not totally wrong. And give me some encouragement to say, to be kind to people, always be helpful to people, always treat people with your best, is something. Even in all the midst of the criminals, all the fight, all the animosities going on, people actually is not dismissing this kind of qualities. Actually, they appreciate it. As much as I'm an outsider, again, knowing nothing, useless for their endeavors, whatsoever going on, but they see something in me that is valuable and appreciated by them. Those are rough characters I'm talking about. So I used to think, I cannot handle this kind of life. I cannot handle this kind of people. I cannot be part of their life. I just don't know what to do with this kind of characters. And this is going to be my work, co-workers, my future, the people I work with. I'm just terrified at that time as a young man. And then God sent this coming manager, said, okay, you actually is capable to help me and play a major role in the business. That is very encouraging to me. Now, evidently, it take a long time for him to become a manager. And after that, so my the trial period ended, and I was put in other positions. And later on, thing didn't play out because I chose when he come back to me, I decided to go to the route of doing corporate finances. And anyways, long story short, this kind of thing happened to me on field coaching, but that's one of which I almost forgot, but it has a huge impact in help me, encourage me to transition from one mode of life to another, which is the true intent I want to share this experience, is how to appreciate God. Now that time I don't know God for sure, but how in us, if we know God, to step back, to trust Him, to apply faith, to extend that, to understand He is in the midst of all things, hardship, trials, confusions, our thinking of how direction or management life, does not necessarily all click. No, but if God chooses us, if God loves us, if God wants to use us and want us to follow Him, somehow He will direct in our lives things that will profoundly change us. I mean, with that incident happened, something changed in me. What changed in me was that I know that it's important to honor people, important to always be helpful to people, important to not be caught into the net or the intense of whatever going on, fly around, and not be terrified by things. Do your best, show your kindness, and as much as possible. I mean, there are people always, there are pragmatic people small-minded or biased. They don't know how to appreciate those things. That's fine, leaving them alone. But I do notice that those in better positions, those who have a better understanding in life, they're looking for some quality in others. In my situation, would be young man like me, new graduate, have a lot of thing to be observed and to be considered, and they looking at me not because I know something I'm capable of doing something or smoothing things. They look at me how I carry myself, how I relate to others. That was important. Now the second experience that came to me, again not testimony, again in my career life back in China. This one is about, again, all this talking about God, how He educated me as a son. I do believe these experiences, to me, was not merely casual experiences. This experience, like, to me, what I like, if I could boast, is like a David facing the bear, David facing the lion, David facing, Goliath. Those are experiences because to me, those things shape me, change me profoundly in different ways. The way that changed me was from a place in fanciful, useful, unpractical life. It changed to be more and more solid and pay attention to details, pay attention to things really matters. From a lofty way of thinking to be more practical, more solid with approaching life. And God uses those experiences. It's like wake up for me. So that's the next one. I used to be the man, like, again, philosophical thinking, high thinking. I don't like paying attention to details. I don't care about details. Now, God is very interesting, so I learned fluffy thinking, like economic theories and stuff. That's what ensues me, so I was good at it. And write high lofty essays, reading high lofty theories or books. I engage high lofty thinkings, or discussions. And as a young man, so that carried you in a certain intention. This is how you think. This is supposed to be interesting. Then I was into work 1 year later. I was found myself in the financial department, and knowing nothing about accounting, knowing nothing about the computer, I can't even type very well, and so just totally useless. In the financial department, every day they enter data entry, doing all kind of data balance. I have no idea what they're doing, why they're doing it. No knowledge about accounting. So God just totally humbled me. I mean, my education doesn't matter. I ended up in like workers every day fixing their paper. The real people had to be archived. I was fixing the archives, so manage the archives. And not in the office, in the archive room. I mean, it was not good working environment. So from there, that is my future. If I don't do anything, well, that's where I might have to work, continue. So, but by fixing archives, my mission, this is a very unique experience in my life. Not to prove my smart, but prove that of the desperation, and you can always learn something and make use of things that you have. And I learned accounting by reading the archives that I was fixing. So about 2 or 3 months, I have some basic grasps, and with one book somebody graciously lent me, I began to learn accounting a little bit and asking every track record, see, making. Still don't know anything, but at least I know why they set up a certain accounts, what the purpose for, how to do certain basic transactions, where to go, not knowing nothing about real financial management or accounting system. Then become a cashier through another place. But that being said, when that career goes on, I ended up in managing different financial reports without duty. Turned up a kind of opportunity or responsibility rather to audit the subsidiaries in another company. So In the process, 1 year the company assigned to was growing very fast. I'll just give a simple picture. In about 5 years that I was there, it grew from about 120 people, I believe that's the number started. Even I'm not so sure. The time I was there was 100 people. So, and the time I left was about overall, I guess 5,000 or 10,000. I don't quite remember. Depends on the how you calculate the company they're managing. So, but even the headquarters, the over 300 people, and with all other branches branched out, we started hundreds company from one small agency and take over a major company in different locations. Anyway, that being said, so it's a lot of growth, lot of work. And I was, stationed in the financial department. You can imagine how much responsibility, how much needs he had. I was fortunate for this opportunity, and I was learning a lot in different ways, different station, different roles in the finance department. But then I given the role to take charge basically all the finance reports for this company. And in order to do that, I then were given the duty to inspect or audit newly acquired companies. One of the companies we acquired that year was a challenge. This is the experience I want to share a little bit. You have to understand the prior experience talking about the people working day and night to get things done. Then death of a captain, the number one captain in the world almost. It's just putting you in solid ground. You don't want to make mistakes anymore. You don't want to, because respect a captain's will, he think he can violate the safety measures. He's just going to yield to his wish in a sense. Everybody regretted. I remember, if only we tell him not to violate our protocols for safety, will not have this mess happen. That taught me a great lesson in life. I thought a lot about that. They cry about it, so they weep about it. And then, anyway, so they learn a good lesson. Then the safety or small thing like that, it don't necessarily always is small. So the consequences can be immense. And so that taught me a good lesson. So later years come to this new position, I found myself have the responsibility to fly over another company to sort their situation out. The company was very much chaotic. The management run off, they fight each other. The second manager run off, took off. The middle manager finance has been always a mess, so it was headache for the management. So, and then they were taking over it was a province called Henan. They take over all a trucking transportation company owned by states, which is a mess. Basically, I go there to clean up was there for years, but I was never put in a good place. And a little agency. Now, the agency need to wrap it up and resolve to play a management over this whole take over this company. So we need to clean up our own mess. That's where I am sent to clean up, and I don't know that yet. I was supposed to give a report on the whole management to see their future is, which is never disclosed to me on this mission. I was there. The only thing that given to me, nobody gave me any clear direction, is there to clean up their finances, make sure everything come into a good place. So nobody knows the situation to begin with, and I don't know how to facilitate the audit. This is the first audit I did for them, in my whole career actually. So, and then there's a lot of changes unfolding, and seems a lot of pressure on me doing this right and doing this in a good time. So, and then it's myself go. I never traveled before, never done anything like this nature before. Anyway, went there and started and began to look at the books. It was a mess, and there were money mismanaged, not even reported. And then this guy, who's another management, got into fight. He just quit right away, and all the record, and he run another company under this company just totally disappeared. But a lot of debts, a lot of accounting has to sort it out. So long story short, I managed to get all the management together, found this guy back and have him work with us day and night. And turn out, if normal situation would be 2 or 3 days work, it turned out to be about a week or 10 days, but don't quite remember. Basically, day and night again, I told them from management to the one relevant to this job to work to get the details out. My standards was simple. In financial management at that time of managing finances, knowing reports, when you're doing balance sheet, you want every penny to be accounted for and to be balanced off. That's my target. And for anything missing, I determined for myself. At that time, I don't know. It's the first job. Nobody tell me the standard. But for me, anything missing has to be traced. This is my first job. This is my responsibility. I'm going to do it right. I'm not going to commit a mistake that everybody can turn around and say he didn't do a good job. So that's my target. And I don't know how to own it, organize these people. Everyone is new to me, and I'm just one of the clerk, so, and nobody knows what capacity I came to. I guess they receive certain calls that I'm the inspector, and so they should do respect, but still, it was a mess. So I had to convince everybody to work together. Day and nights, two managers used to fight, don't see each other. They had to work hand in hand to make everything right. I have to, grab the height we assets to report it. All kind of things had to be sorted out. Long story short, I produced reports and bring the report back. And the CFO that time came to look at it. So, you don't have to do this details. We just want you to look at the business. I don't know that, So, and in my reports, there's no template for me to follow. I never done this before. So I just wrote whatever I have happened encountered. So it turned out to be a simple page. You look at it, he's doing, why you wrote so many pages, So he was complaining to me. I thought, what the man, I did a bad job. So and they never mentioned that for, I guess, a couple of months, maybe. Nobody mentioned back to me. So I thought, this is terrible with this pile of work. And understandable, as just one of the new clerks, so. But this instance and my reports on the thing turned out to be a very positive thing. The first that is a report from that subsidiary or that company inspected it back to the general management. They told them how hard I worked and how I helped them to mend the relationships, to bring things in good order. So they were impressed, basically, and they appreciated my help, because at the time I was able to reconcile relationships, I was able to solve major pitfalls in the management. I was able to train their financial manager, basically, a young lady. I taught her how to balance, how to do things right, and also sorted all the books, so make a clean card and make a new start. So that's one thing I did. They were appreciated that. Also, I didn't take any bribe, which is a common thing, or didn't do any carry myself foolishly, which is a common thing in China in certain ways. So they respect that. On the second part is my report had dissolved long-standing struggle and confusion in their financial situation. They never have a figure how much they earn, how much they lost. Now I got the figure, got to the detail, So also I recovered a lot of money, which was unaccounted for, and a lot of transactions that it was not coming to place, especially receivable. Now they're able to trace back and recover the money, basically. So, a lot of money. So, with years of operation. And anyway, that was profitable to this whole trip and to this whole purpose to go there. They didn't expect that. They want me to do some reports, to some audits, but turned out we able to recover a lot of money. So that was something, I guess, of interest to the management. Finally, more importantly, is the reports that I give was presented to the general management and discussed by others. And I don't know anything about reporting. You have to understand I never wrote any audit report before. So it was very detailed, very categorized. And turned out it was when the general management, we have the general manager who is the big boss. He's how to see everything. He took seriously that report. He read everything I wrote. And he was amazed. He said to the details that I was able to do my job. And he was very impressed by that report. And so he began to pay attention to me. And the next thing I was called in to begin to draft the policy for the whole company. You had to understand the company have a lot of things not in place, not in good operation. And anyway, by doing that, I was able to work, in the general policy or secretary office, begin to involve those kind of policy making process as one of the clerk of finances, and able to be present and attend and even make a speech in major management meetings. Again, I'm not a operation guy. I'm just one of the guys try to help the facilitate finances or general policies. But it was this kind of ways of entering things, and was able to afford to me to get more and more access to people in the high level management. I began to also myself to understand how to manage a business, how to get involved in different things, have close proximity to handle crisis, handle people, handle different decision businesses. And it was a good thing for the young man like me, which I'm interested, I really want to learn. And that is one of the things afforded me later on to be one of the major managers start a business, I guess. So anyway, that being said, so the main reason I share this is from a lofty, theoretical, totally unsolid, impractical, and almost foolish kind of a thinking of life built up in my academic world, in my useful, flexible world, to a place begin to take great pain and take on as a great responsibility for me to be very detailed, very practical in things, and maintain the standard, thinking about picture, thinking the long term. There's a whole shift happened. This happened in a couple of years. It was a huge transition, but it was definitely a desperate, needed transition for me as a young man. And God did it through this experience. This 1 to 3 years experience. He changed me. At that time, I don't know God again. I might understand was just try to be relevant to the work I work in and the environment I was in. But the more I doing it, the more I recognize how foolish, how unpractical, how unthoughtful, how careless I was when I was a student or a young academic, those kind of things for my life. The more I begin to pay attention to practical things in life beyond merely, managing a business per se, I begin to pay attention to practice. I begin to pay attention to the basic value of what it means to practice the thing you learn. What it means to really learn a thing and be good at something. It really means to be productive in the thing you do. Also be be solid in life. It was very humbling and troubling years for a young man like me, toes back through and never have a certainty what I'm doing is right, what I'm doing is getting anywhere. In all that, yet there's something was formed in me, something changed in me, something later on become so fundamentally important for me. Now, fast forward with experience to after the first year, I met the Lord. I met the Lord. It was a start is miracle besides. It was a tragedy for me. The tragedy part, was the hard part, was a huge pain. Is God breaking down my intellectual capacities. I remember looking at the Bible, was letters shining out, which with understanding then I know cannot be manufactured by my own mind or collected by my own thoughts. It was totally superimposed and miraculous. I recognize I don't anything. I know almost like I don't have any idea of what I think about wisdom, about understanding, about the intellectual, whatever it is. It was a total devastation to my mental capacity and confidence in my own mind and my own ability. To almost like an atheist, my whole world was built on the mental capacity and the intellectual capacity. And then when supernatural thing happened, like nature, like somebody speaking your mind, and books begin shining with light, confirming the things you heard. Those kind of things just devastated to me in a way that is, I don't think others really have the experience about it, So to me was that all the effort of reading books, garner knowledge, reasoning with things, try to map up a understand the solution for life is totally falling apart. And I remember I don't know anything. And so it was very troubling for a year or more. I remember I dare not to think about things, because every thoughts, every emotion, almost every word in my mouth, I know I don't speak according to my heart. I know to speak out of it's like the redundancy and the impulse in my mind was not, no, it was just like not right, So I often regret the word of my mouth at those times. So I would zip my mouth. There are other situations that compel me to do that, but one of the reasons I just don't know whether I'm speaking is true or not to myself, not mention to others. So yes, there are foolish times. Yes, you just sometimes wrong with your own thoughts, emotions, but for major expressions, wisdom, understanding things, I dare not to have my own idea, possess my own idea, or share my own idea anymore for the most time. It was very humbling and very terrifying at the same time. I just don't know what to think, how to think, and I don't know anything. And so, yet something I know is that there was this increasing way in my life to be very practical with my thoughts, with my choices of life, with my decisions of life. And the reason is the carry on impact of the former experiences shared, because I want to be very practical with the thing I learned. I don't want to be deceived. I don't want to imagine I know anything anymore. I want everything to be solid, everything to be real to me. And that was not happening for the new believer, for the in this new journey to a whole different way of facilitate your thoughts and your vision and make decisions in your life. It was often a struggle, often terrifying. And but I determined. I determined I'm not gonna look at this book or hear other talk or hear my own imaginations. Just go with it. I want to know how to practice it. I want to work it out. I want it to be real to me, because I was tired of any other way to facilitate my life. My whole point was that in my short period walk with the Lord, I'm not far from maturity, far from knowing a big picture. That's not a humble state. Just you more you know God, the more you have realistic, objective way of assessing yourself where you are. But I'm looking at however I have found the Christian walk in the landscape I observed is a very lofty, very imaginative, very almost like always a blurred vision. And if he knows, if he even cares to solidly practice the wisdom, the understanding of the Lord. And I think in prior writings I mentioned the importance in two things. I will describe it here a little bit. To know something is one thing. To be something that you know is a totally another. That is, to practice the thing you learned is taking more time, more pain, more important in man's life than normally being presented, understood. And the second point I'm making is hear and obey. To hear, we often think our difficulty as spiritual people or as people of God is the difficulty is how to hear God. The truth of the matter, as my observer, again, almost similar to the first point, the truth of the matter is far difficult and far important for us to know when you hear the word of the Lord, to obey. My observation, many has shipwrecked their faith or stuck in their faith, and they have no idea they're running in the wrath of God, in the rebellious state of God, in a defiant spirit with God, because they actually heard the word of the Lord, yet refused to obey. And that's when the wrath of God, the disfavor of God, the judgment of God is really directed. I think God is going to judge this kind of people more severely than those who have never heard His word. In a sense, that's our struggle in our further walk with the Lord. That is, how to actually hear and obey, especially how to truly learn to obey into the thing you heard. As always start from the basics, from the small things. If I had to envision, we started with learn how to enter the great, not necessarily pay the great price like the captain, the death, and the whole consequence that it cost to learn to set up the standard. You insist on it. I don't add any other reason to argue out, insist on the fundamentals, on the principal things. And the second thing, so that you don't shipwreck your faith, caught in the whirlwind of surprise. The second thing is I shared with you. Pay attention to the details. It matters. From the balance sheet not balanced, from the penny not easily blockaded. On general terms, that seems in the word tiny thing. But if you are going to be a good management, to be a good content, I'm talking about the content, a good management will be a picture how your whole business is run and accounted for. That penny is not to be ignored day after day, month after month, eventually to disappear, because that penny can become $1,000, $1,000,000, and the whole management can tumble because you refuse to keep the balance of the small things, accounted for the small things. It's more than a penny to be accounted for. It's a way how you accounted for your management and responsibility over the whole business. And speak louder than anything. And anyway, that being said, I'm not here suggesting to have to keep your books balanced or keep your security measures set up. My point is that those are small things. Matters. Whether being surprising or in solid, foundational building or overall building of management, those are things that must be done and must be keep good eye on it. Keep clear understanding this and practice. It cannot be continually living in the rooms. The final thing I would say is my experience about repent from an impractical way of facilitating our spiritual life, relation life, especially the vision that we heard from God and the direction of God give to us. I found many unable to follow God's clear vision to them and instructed them. Many came to me, call me the pastors, call me the prophet, whatever. There's many that when you begin to practice the thing God told them, for this relation to be built up as a continual retreat on cave and the shell of the old religion, the old tradition, old imagination. One of the big reasons is the pride and self-delusion, because they have no idea that God don't treat divine relationship and divine revelation as we man normally treat it. He mean business. Recently, I, through messaging, mentioned one of the important thing, a parable rather, a principle in life. If you are sailing a ship on a long voyage over the sea, and you are intending to land where you want to land, let's see, imagine Pacific or Atlantic, you can cross the ocean. And you better make sure you know where you're heading for. And you need to look at the stars. You know the compass. You need to continue to guide it, rather to redirect your course to the place you need to go. Unfortunately, many are Christian in the spiritual walk. They are blessed with a vessel. They are blessed with a sense of direction and duty to cross the ocean to another land, yet they found themselves either sunk in the ocean or totally landing in a place they never intended to be. However, God is our rudder, God is our captain, but above all, God is our course and the forces and the assistance for us to find the right course in the midst of storm, in the midst of darkness, in the midst of great journey. And but much more, He's our destination. He wants us to find Him in the place of holiness, in the place of divine order, in the place for where His glory, His wisdom, His love, genuinely our possession and our reality. With this, I gonna wrap up the discussion. I hope this, don't consider this as a testimony, rather some life lessons I learned in real life, also above all in the kingdom of life. May the Lord bless you, and thank you for listening to this.